we got an A+ pick last night, right around 7 o'clock in the evening. It was the cherry on top of a fantastic week of Donald Trump news and cabinet positions and appointments that really dominated the media landscape. And he knew how to end the week with a bang. Friday evening, Karoline Leavitt, the campaign press secretary, was named press secretary for Donald Trump's second White House administration. And this pick was immediately met with congratulatory messages and kudos from around the media landscape and the entire globe. Nobody seemed to be too shocked or surprised or concerned with Karoline Leavitt. For those of us that have been following the campaign and have been to the campaign events and have worked with the press department in the campaign, it seemed clear that Karoline Leavitt was always the number one choice, and President Trump seems to agree with her appointment yesterday. For those of you that aren't familiar with Karoline Leavitt, she will be the youngest press secretary in American history. She is 27 years old, which makes her technically Gen Z. Gen Z has become the face of Donald Trump's White House. The oldest president at the time of his swearing in has chosen the youngest press secretary to put a fresh young face on his messaging. And she will be there in the press room every single day or every other day, delivering the messages to make America great again. Karoline Leavitt is from New Hampshire. She graduated from St. Anselm's College at the Catholic school in New Hampshire, and she ran in 2022 for New Hampshire's congressional seat in the 1st District. She lost that seat to Chris Pappas, but it led her to bigger and better things, as we see now. She joined the campaign in January, and an interesting thing about Karoline Leavitt is that she's been pregnant the entire campaign. In fact, she gave birth to her son, a beautiful baby boy, on July 10th, right in the middle of the campaign, and it didn't slow her down. She was still on planes and going to campaigns, and she was going to rallies, and you could see her everywhere. She was contacting the media and the press. She was arranging credentials for people. She was on television almost every single day leading up to the birth of her child, and almost immediately afterward, she leapt back into the hot seat so she could take on the press. As I said, there's not a member of the media, at least the conservative media, who isn't excited about this. And there's not a member of the left-leaning media who may be quaking a little bit in their boots, because Karoline Leavitt is clearly an upgrade from the current administration's spokesperson and the spokespeople that they've employed over the last couple of years. Karoline posted on her X, "Thank you, President Trump, for believing in me. I am humbled and honored." The official statement came again from President Trump. The 45th and 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, announced that Karoline Leavitt will serve as White House press secretary. Karoline was the Trump campaign national press secretary and previously served in the Trump White House as assistant press secretary. That's true. She served under Kaye McEnany, who until now has been regarded as one of the youngest and brightest and most intelligent press secretaries we've ever had. We all remember the binder. Well, Karoline Leavitt helped put that binder together every single day before Kaye McEnany walked into the press briefing room. So she knows exactly what she's doing. Karoline Leavitt did a phenomenal job, says President Trump, as the national press secretary on my historic campaign, and I am pleased to announce she will serve as White House press secretary. Karoline is smart, tough, and has proven to be a highly effective communicator. I have the utmost confidence she will excel at the podium and help deliver our message to the American people as we make America great again. There was an article written about Karoline in the Conservateur, which was it's a pretty decent article if you go back and take a look at it. Wonder Woman, Karoline Leavitt, they call her. Her life as a new mom and Trump spokeswoman. Karoline Leavitt's day begins around 4 a.m. with an early Fox appearance. There might be a Newsmax hit after that, then another at Fox Business. She'll have coffee in between calls from comms, a bite to eat between briefings. There's a town hall tonight. The motorcade leaves for the flight at 2. As the Trump campaign's 2024 national press secretary, Leavitt has adjusted to the Donald Trump sleep schedule that is 4 hours a night. Fun fact, that's also the sleep schedule of a new parent, so she should have no problem with that whatsoever. The pick by President Trump, again, it caps off a week of A+ picks, no matter what the media tells you. When you look at what he's been doing this week with his picks for Health and Human Services and Attorney General, Donald Trump has made big news every single day, and he capped off the week with, again, what everyone is grading an A+ pick for press secretary. Remember, the media is an unforgiving beast. And even the current administration, even Karine Jean-Pierre, who was coddled by the media and who was handled with kid gloves and who was aided and abetted by the media for so many years, in the last few months has caught the ire of the media and has been involved in back and forth, really prickly back and forth situations, not just with Peter Doocy from Fox News and other conservative outlets, but with her own quote unquote friendly networks, ABC, CBS, NBC, those kinds of things. They've turned on the Democrat candidate, and that's something that we haven't seen in a very long time. Now, during President Trump's first foray into the presidency, you remember that the media was unrelenting in their attacks. They even at one point revoked Jim Acosta's press credentials from CNN, and then CNN went to court in an effort to get them back. Well, there's questions about Donald Trump's relationship with the media going into this second term, and that's something that Karoline Leavitt's going to have to deal with. And it's because Donald Trump has already suggested revoking press credentials from some of his most hated media rivals. In fact, yesterday, breaking news, Donald Trump and his campaign sued at the New York Times, CBS, and other outlets for billions of dollars, saying that they were biased against him. We all remember the Kamala Harris interview on 60 Minutes that was edited so that one of her ridiculously bad answers was taken out and replaced with a less ridiculously bad answer so that she wouldn't look as ridiculously bad as she was during the interview. We all caught wind of that because the tape was accidentally released in a promo, and Donald Trump filed suit, saying that CBS was manipulating the interview in an effort to help Kamala Harris's campaign and get Kamala Harris elected. It was some kind of in-kind donation, and it was also an attack on Donald Trump. And so he sued CBS. Now he's suing the New York Times as well. This is all as he heads to the White House. And all of these media outlets, all of these news outlets find themselves with press credentials, find themselves inside of the media and the press briefing room. And now Karoline Leavitt is going to be dealing with them one-on-one. The other thing we're really looking forward to is let's just say, the vast array of media outlets who will be granted media credentials or press credentials for the press briefing room that maybe haven't in the past, or that have in the past, much to the chagrin of the Democrats. Donald Trump embraced new media outlets and internet media outlets before anyone else. During his last campaign, they've been calling it the podcast presidency. Why? Well, because podcasts, just like this one, were crucial in getting him elected and are the best way to get the media news from the White House out to the people. In fact, that's what we do here every single day on the 47 Daily Podcast. We get the news from the White House to my mouth to your ears. We bypass all of the spin. We bypass all of the propaganda. And you get to learn and listen every single day about how Donald Trump and his team are working to make America great again. And that means that Donald Trump may want to let in some alternative news sources or organizations that maybe didn't always have credentials. It's going to be really interesting and fun to watch. And again, Karoline Leavitt is in charge of all that, so we look forward to her performance as White House press secretary. Now, there was another big announcement yesterday. As I said, Donald Trump kind of teased it the night before at Mar-a-Lago. He had Doug Burgum there, the governor of North Dakota, and he let slide that Doug Burgum was going to be the Secretary of the Interior, and the official announcement came yesterday. I am thrilled to announce that Doug Burgum, the governor of North Dakota, will be joining my administration as both Secretary of the Interior and as, this is important, chairman of the newly formed and very important National Energy Council, which will consist of all departments and agencies involved in the permitting, production, generation, distribution, regulation, transportation of all forms of American energy. This council will oversee the path to U.S. energy dominance by cutting red tape, enhancing private sector investments across all sectors of the economy, and by focusing on innovation over long-standing but totally unnecessary regulation with U.S. energy dominance. And we will drive down inflation, win the AI arms race with China and others, and expand American diplomatic power to end wars all across the world. So Doug Burgum's got a big job. It's not just Interior Secretary anymore. He's chief of the Energy Council. He's now in charge of making sure that America is dominant in energy once again. And not only that, he's going to secure private investment. He's going to cut out the red tape and the regulation. And he's going to make sure that we win the AI arms race with China and expand diplomatic powers to win wars all over the world. Clearly, President Donald Trump was really taken with Doug Burgum, who ran against him in the primary. And for, if you're not familiar with the governor of North Dakota, which most people outside of North Dakota are not, Doug Burgum is a self-made billionaire. He went to Stanford. He's from a place called Arthur, North Dakota, which is about as small a town as it sounds. He went to Stanford, I believe, and then he came back to North Dakota and opened up a Great Plains software company, which he then sold to Microsoft, becoming a billionaire. He took that money and turned it into investment property and investments in, venture capitalist investments in North Dakota, and continued to see his wealth increase. He eventually ran for governor and won in a landslide both times. The first time it was a no-brainer. Everybody loved Governor Burgum, and the second time he was invited back for a second round and a second term without any issue. And then he ran unsuccessfully for the presidency in the primary with Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley and Tim Scott and a handful of others, Vivek Ramaswamy. But in the end, he made a relationship with President Donald Trump, which seems very strong. And President Trump has now tapped him for what is, in Donald Trump's administration, one of the most important jobs. In fact, Donald Trump's campaign promises, he said on day one, we're going to close the border and we're going to drill, baby, drill. Well, if you think of it that way, the two most important people in his cabinet so far are Kristi Noem, who is the Homeland Security Secretary, working with Tom Homan, and Doug Burgum, who is in charge of energy and now making ourselves energy dominant as Secretary of the Interior and head of this new Energy Council. Donald Trump went to North Dakota and South Dakota to grab the leaders of those two states to make sure that his first two promises to the American people are handled expertly, quickly, adeptly, and that we do have a border that is shut down and secure with Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota, and Tom Homan, who's going to be leading the charge, and that we have energy that we're drilling all over the place. We're energy independent and a net producer of energy that we can then export to our allies so that our enemies starve and go bankrupt. Man, who knew that both Dakotas had such talented leadership? Donald Trump obviously did. Incidentally, if you live in either of the Dakotas, there's no governors in the Dakotas anymore. The Dakotas are governor free, and you're both going to need to select new leadership. As we track the cabinet, we look forward to the next week, and we see that we still have an outstanding position in the Treasury. There's no Treasury Secretary as of yet. Agriculture, commerce, labor, housing and urban development, transportation. There isn't an energy secretary, although we do see that Doug Burgum, as Interior Secretary, has added energy responsibility. So he'll be working very closely with whoever the energy secretary becomes, and then education. Plus, there's some other cabinet level roles that have yet to be filled: management and budget, trade representative, science advisor, that kind of thing. President Trump will be working diligently with his team through the weekend. There's no rest for the weary. President Donald Trump, his transition team, Saturday and Sunday are not days of rest for them. They are just days. And when there's news to be had, when there's news to be reported, we will report that news to you here. And we will let you know. Everything that's going on in the transition that you need to know of. A couple of other things. One thing I wanted to share with you very quickly is that yesterday, President Donald Trump's official X account, formerly known as Twitter, received the official gray checkmark. Now, the gray checkmark is reserved for government agencies and government, basically official government accounts. If you're a senator, or if you're a congressperson, or if you're president of the United States, you have an account with a gray check mark, which denotes it is a verified government account, and the information coming from those accounts should be considered government information. Now, there are a lot of people who have both accounts, a private personal account and their government account, but it's interesting to see a Twitter or X account with Donald Trump's name, his image, and a verified check mark, because it was just 4 years ago when President Trump's Twitter account said suspended, and there was no photo, and there were no tweets, And there was just a message from the former owners of Twitter. Twitter suspends accounts which violate the Twitter rules. Now, just years later, President Donald Trump, with 94.6 million followers on X, not only is one of the most followed accounts, but has been verified as the official government account because, as we know, President Trump is once again the president of the United States. One more thing I did want to mention, and this is just a little patting, really a thank you, is that after just 5 episodes, just 1 week, the 47 Daily Podcast has hit number 17 on the political podcast charts. And that is a coup. Thank you so much. We are up there with some of the most listened to podcasts in the country, and we are going to continue to bring you the information every single day. So if you're listening to this podcast, we appreciate it. Please keep listening. Make sure that you're subscribed to this podcast. And if you could take a moment to write a review or let us, let iTunes or Spotify know, wherever you're listening, with a 5-star review that you enjoy this content and you want more of it, that'll keep us climbing up the charts. That'll keep us growing, and that'll give us the ability to keep bringing you the news every single day, straight from the White House to my mouth to your ears. That is our goal for the next 4 years. Also, we have a daily commentary podcast. Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. If you'd like to listen to daily commentary about these topics and other news items, then please follow Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, again, wherever you listen to your podcasts.